Never assume you own your roof. Not really. Not if you live inside a homeowners association. Because right now, there are people who spent tens of thousands of dollars on solar panels and batteries only to get a letter in the mail telling them to rip it all out. And the wild part? In a lot of cases, that letter is completely legal. So here's the question we're answering today. If you buy a house, and that roof is yours, and you're paying for the equipment, and it's sitting on your own property, why does a private board of your neighbors get to tell you what you can and can't do with your own energy? Stick with me, because this is not a simple yes or no answer. It's actually way more complicated and way more interesting than most people realize. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what your HOA can control, what it can't, and where the real power actually sits. Because it's not always where you think. So here's the setup. When you buy a house inside a homeowners association, you're not just buying the house. You're also buying into a stack of paperwork called CC&Rs. That stands for covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Most people sign this stuff during closing without reading a single page of it. It sits alongside architectural rules that you agreed to the moment you bought the property. And here's the thing people don't think about. Those private rules don't exist in a vacuum. They sit next to state law, city building codes, fire codes, utility rules, and insurance requirements. So when we talk about whether an HOA can block your solar panels or your battery system or your generator, we're not just talking about one rule book. We're talking about several rule books stacked on top of each other, and your HOA is only one layer of that stack. This actually matters a lot, because this HOA does not decide whether your power company lets you disconnect from the grid. That's a separate fight entirely. But what it can do, in a lot of cases, is control or challenge the physical stuff you'd need to become energy independent. The panels, the wiring, the battery boxes, the generators, the structures you'd build to hold all of it. That distinction is the whole story here. Now, how big is this actually? We're not talking about some tiny slice of homeowners. Industry research estimates that by the end of 2025, around 78.1 million Americans were living inside 373,000 community associations. That's roughly 35.2% of housing in the entire country. 1 out of every 3 homes you drive past could be sitting inside one of these systems. So this isn't a niche issue. This is something that touches a massive chunk of the country. Here's where it gets personal. Think about what owning a home is supposed to mean. The roof is yours. You paid for it. The equipment you want to install is yours. The whole point of going solar, or adding batteries, or trying to cut the cord from your utility company is independence. You want less control from someone else over your power bill and your energy source. And then you hit this wall. A group of your neighbors sitting on a volunteer board can potentially say no, or make you move the equipment, or fine you, or send you a legal notice. And suddenly it doesn't feel like a conversation about solar panels anymore. It feels like someone questioning whether you actually own your own house. That tension is real, and it's the reason this topic gets people fired up. Because the emotional question underneath all of this is simple. How can you own a home, but still need permission to change how it gets its power? So let's talk about what actually happens when this goes wrong. Because the risk here isn't just the HOA said no. The real danger is spending money before you know the rules. Picture this. You order your panels. You hire your installer. Maybe you've already picked a spot for your battery system. Then you find out the location you picked isn't approved. Or the mounting method doesn't meet their guidelines. Or the support structure needs to be different. Now you're not just dealing with a delay. You're dealing with redesign costs, reinstallation costs, maybe attorney fees if it escalates, maybe fines that keep adding up the longer the dispute drags on, and in the worst cases, actual lawsuits between the homeowner and the association. This is the practical nightmare. Not a flat no, but a slow, expensive maze that you didn't know you were walking into until you were already inside it. So let's dig into what's actually true here, state by state, because this is where most people get it completely wrong. There is no single national rule for this. There's no one federal law that says every homeowner in America has the right to install solar no matter what. What we actually have is a patchwork. Different states wrote different protections, and some wrote almost nothing at all. That means 2 homeowners with basically identical houses in different states can have completely different rights. It depends on the state they live in. It depends on the exact wording of their HOA's declaration. It depends on whether they own the roof outright or whether the roof is a shared, common element, like in a lot of condos. It depends on when the restriction was written into the documents. It depends on the type of equipment. It depends on how the HOA's approval process actually works and what local permitting rules apply on top of all that. Now let's go through some real examples, because this is where the numbers get specific. In California, there's a law, Civil Code Section 714, that makes it so deed restrictions or HOA rules that effectively prohibit or restrict solar installations are void, unenforceable. That means a California HOA generally cannot just say we think solar panels look ugly and ban them outright. But, and this is key, the HOA can still apply what's called reasonable restrictions within limits the law allows. Florida has something similar. Florida law says that deed restrictions and covenants can't prohibit. or have the effect of prohibiting solar collectors or other renewable energy devices. But the HOA is allowed to pick a specific roof location within certain limits, as long as that choice doesn't mess with how well the system actually works. And if it ends up in court, the winning side can recover their attorney fees. Texas generally stops associations from banning solar devices outright too, but there are exceptions. HOAs there can still regulate safety issues, common property, roofline appearance, and certain placement details. So Texas Protects Solar doesn't mean every single design or every single spot on the roof automatically gets approved. Michigan passed a solar access law in 2024 that's actually really specific with numbers. It blocks HOA rules that prohibit solar, or effectively prohibit it. It requires associations to actually write down their solar policy, and it sets hard limits. An HOA rule can't be allowed to cut your system's production by more than 10% or add more than $1,000 to your installation cost. There's also a required timeline for approval, and a legal path if the HOA doesn't follow that. Hawaii does something similar with its own numbers. Restrictive covenants that unreasonably block residential solar are banned, and Hawaii sets its own measurable limits. HOA rules generally can't make a system more than 25% less effective, or increase certain costs by more than 15%. You see the pattern here. This isn't a simple story of HOAs can or HOAs can't. It's a state-by-state puzzle, and in some of the biggest states in the country, blanket bans on solar are specifically restricted by law. But here's the twist that most people miss completely. Getting legal protection for your solar panels does not mean you get the same protection for your entire off-grid setup. A lot of these laws are written specifically around the words solar energy system or solar collector. That protection does not automatically extend to your battery enclosure sitting on the ground. It doesn't automatically cover a backup generator, or a propane tank, or a wind turbine, or a shed you built to house your equipment, or a fence you changed for screening, or big exterior conduits running along your house, or new structures built just to support your utility setup, or cutting down trees, or replacing your roof, or anything placed on shared, common property. Illinois is actually a really clear example of this gap. State law there limits how much an association can block solar installations specifically. But that same law allows associations to restrict wind energy devices in a much broader way. So you could have full legal protection to put panels on your roof, and zero equivalent protection to add a wind turbine or a full independent microgrid setup next to your house. And there's another layer to this. Whether you actually own your roof matters a lot. If you're in a detached single-family home, you probably own that roof outright. But if you're in a condo, the roof is often classified as a common element, meaning it's shared property, not something you individually control. Connecticut is a good example here. Their solar protection covers the roof of your unit specifically when it's not shared with another owner. But associations there can still regulate the installation details, and they can straight up prohibit installations on common elements. So not every HOA, every condo, and every co-op is playing by the same rulebook. Treating them all as legally identical is a mistake. Here's another thing people assume that isn't quite right. A lot of people think that if a state protects solar, that means you can just install it without asking anyone. That's usually not how it works. The Department of Energy actually tells homeowners that in most HOA communities, you'll still need to submit some kind of application before you install anything. And that requirement, by itself, is not an illegal ban. Associations can legitimately ask for things like your system plans, your contractor's information, proof of insurance, details about how it'll be mounted, your electrical or building permits, documentation showing your roof can handle the load, the exact dimensions of the equipment, where your conduits and inverters will sit, their procedures for roof maintenance, and who's responsible if it needs to be removed and reinstalled later, say, for a roof replacement. So the real legal question in most of these disputes isn't, can the HOA review this at all? It's, are their rules reasonable? And do those rules end up effectively blocking the installation? Now here's where things get really messy, because even when a state has a law protecting solar, that doesn't mean the fight is over. There was a case in North Carolina, Belmont Association versus Farwig, where the court had to examine whether an HOA could enforce its architectural rules against rooftop solar under North Carolina's own solar access law. This case actually went all the way up to the North Carolina Supreme Court. Think about that for a second. Even with a state law on the books meant to protect solar, homeowners and associations ended up in a multi-year legal battle over whether a broadly written architectural rule counted as effectively prohibiting solar. The lesson here isn't that one side always wins. It's that even protected homeowners can get pulled into expensive, drawn-out disputes over the exact wording of a rule that never even mentions solar directly. And there's one more distinction that trips a lot of people up. Solar access laws and solar easements are not the same thing. A solar access law is what restricts an HOA or a local government from banning solar equipment. A solar easement is different. It's about protecting your access to sunlight across your neighbor's property, and it's usually something that's voluntarily agreed to and recorded. Washington State, for example, allows voluntary solar easements, but it doesn't automatically give you an unrestricted right to sunlight forever. It separately blocks HOAs from banning solar panels, which is a totally different rule doing a totally different job. Wyoming treats beneficial solar use as a property right, but it still runs on a permit-based system with limited protected hours. So even in a state that seems solar-friendly, a tree growing taller next door, or a new structure going up nearby might not be something the law protects you from. So let's zoom all the way out, because this is the real climax of the whole story. Even if your HOA approves every single thing you want to install, that still does not mean you're legally allowed to fully disconnect from the grid. On top of your HOA, you're dealing with local building and electrical codes, fire department access requirements, your utility's own disconnection procedures and interconnection rules, possibly minimum monthly charges from your utility, zoning restrictions, occupancy requirements if you're in certain areas, conditions from your mortgage lender, and underwriting requirements from your insurance company. Your HOA can absolutely be a barrier in this whole process, but it is rarely, if ever, the only authority deciding whether your house can actually run completely off-grid. So let's clear up a few things people get wrong constantly. First, there is no federal law giving every homeowner in America an automatic right to install solar that overrides every HOA rule nationwide. Federal programs support renewable energy through tax credits and research funding, but the actual installation rights come from state law. Second, just because you sign the CC&Rs doesn't mean the HOA has unlimited power. Those documents are binding, but they're still subject to state statutes and public policy, which is exactly why California and Florida can void provisions that effectively block protected solar systems. Third, solar rights laws almost never eliminate the approval process entirely. The state can protect your right to install solar while still letting the HOA control location, appearance, safety details, and how it gets installed. Fourth, getting your solar approved does not mean you've got approval for full off-grid living. Those are separate legal questions being decided by separate authorities. And fifth, not every restriction an HOA puts in place is just about looks. Some of it is about real structural concerns, like whether your roof can handle the weight, fire safety setbacks, keeping access clear for maintenance, liability over shared property, and water damage prevention. Those concerns can be completely legitimate, even if a specific board sometimes applies them too harshly. So where does that leave you? Here's the honest, grounded answer. HOA power in this space is real, but it is not unlimited. Solar protections are all over the map depending on which state you live in. Installing solar and legally disconnecting from the grid are two completely separate legal questions. And what actually happens in your specific case depends heavily on your governing documents and whether you own your roof outright or share it as a common element. The most useful thing you can do before spending $1 on any of this is read your actual HOA documents and look up your specific state's solar access law instead of assuming either extreme. Don't assume you have zero rights. And don't assume you have unlimited freedom either. The truth sits right in the middle, and it's different depending on exactly where you live and exactly what you're trying to build. If you want to go deeper into any of the specific state laws we covered, or see more on how utilities and local codes factor into all of this, check the links in the description.